Recording.
Excellent. Well, welcome. This is our second Zoom for the Daren Falter program. I'm very super excited about this. It's always a pleasure, Daren, to have you join us. I want everybody to know, I know we did call number one, and Daren spent a lot of time talking about the professional industry, the profession of network marketing, and the power of what we have with our company. Tonight we're going to take it, we're going to dig deep, we're going to get into a lot more stuff that's going to help us understand how to utilize the systems, the tools, the fundamentals that this company has available, and how we can take it and go and develop our business in a very big way. So really happy to have Daren Falter. You know, Daren started in the network marketing industry or profession 30 years ago, prior to partnering with Robbie Fender here at the Yoli Company. Daren, he was one of the most successful distributor members really in our profession. And in fact, I met Daren in 2000. He was at a conference in Dallas, Texas, and I was working with, I actually had a company of my own, and was working with the Direct Selling Association and several guys there, along with the Distributor Rights Association, putting together what you now see as policies and procedures that we have with our company. But Daren wrote the book, How to Select a Network Marketing Company, and it's sold tens of thousands of copies in many countries, several languages. And so, you know, really proud to have Daren as one of the co-founders of our company. And, you know, because for decades, really, he's helped people select a solid, a sound company to be able to represent, to be proud of, and to work with. And now here, 9 years, going nearly 10 years as we nearly round the mark here as a company, Daren really has served many people over the years, even the consulting work that he's done in the industry. But being a father now of 6 and 5 grandchildren, is it 5 grandchildren, or is there more now? 5 grandchildren at last count. And, you know, things happen in life. I mean, we go through all kinds of stuff. And Daren was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease here in 2015. And regardless of the personal physical struggles that he has to go through, that disease, along with a partial lung, gave him a lot of drive, you know, just to be able to perform better, to be better, and you'll see that as Daren kicks this thing off here, head into our second round. But recently, Daren's a mountaineer, and you know that's one of his dreams, has been for a long time. But he always wanted to summit Mount Rainier, and after several attempts and you know, and those attempts turning out to be not successful, recently, just a couple of months ago, Daren was able to summit 14,410 feet Mount Rainier. Very, very super inspiring story. I think that you can actually find that story. The Quad City Times did a special piece on that. And if you don't have that, let me know and I can get it over to you. But Daren's a great guy. He loves to play guitar. He's a musician. He plays the piano. His greatest thing is e-biking lately. You know, so I know you're talking about it. I remember Daren one time, I don't remember where I heard you say this, but I know you've told me directly that there's really nothing more that you'd rather do than spending time here with Yoli members and customers, helping them to transform their lives. So we're just excited to have you, man. And I know I'm taking far more time than I should, but I just wanted to give you a proper setup for this series that you've been doing with this team. And believe me, we are on the edge of our seats, waiting for every breath and every word that comes out of your mouth. So I'm going to let you take it away.
Well, I hope I don't disappoint you, Matt.
I'm sure you won't.
Well, if there's any, you know, if there's no other testament to the fact that I absolutely want to be here. It's my 50th birthday today.
Woohoo!
Nothing I would rather do than be
Yeah.
Thank you.
I honestly, I think about, sometimes I was in the home of Robert Allen, who is a very special dear friend of mine, a mentor of mine. And, was just blessed to kind of spend some time getting to know him as we shared the stage in a previous company. He's the guy who wrote the book, Nothing Down, Creating Wealth, Road to Wealth, all New York Times bestsellers. I was fortunate enough to be able to write a chapter of multiple streams of income that kind of put me on the map for writing and authoring. And I was in his house one day when he was having his birthday, and he says he was talking to his wife. He was a little short with her. He says, "What I want for my birthday is that everybody just leave me alone and let me work." And he shuts his door on his office, his home office. And I thought, that's kind of like how I feel. I want everybody to go away, let me work, because we love our work. And there's nothing we'd rather do. It's Monday. It feels like Friday to me because I get giddy when the week starts, because I get to do what I love to do, and that's work with all of you, people that I love. I did get in a 50-mile bike ride today for my 50th birthday, but it was on an e-bike, so don't give me too much credit. I'm telling you, you guys, if you come to my house and you go e-biking with me, you will be hooked. I don't want to do it because I don't want to distract you from your purpose of building Yoli and transforming lives. So don't do it. Don't even think about it. Thank you, Matt, for that introduction. It sounded like my obituary. That was wonderful. Coming from you, a person who is an absolute legend in the network marketing industry, that means a lot. I met Matt many years ago, even before Yoli. We were at a conference together, and I've had a lot of respect for him, been following his career ever since. And just thank you for that introduction. Thank you for being such a great leader. I mean, it's testament to your leadership to see all these wonderful leaders that are coming up through the ranks here that you have influenced greatly. So thank you for that. Well, let's get right into it tonight. I want to cover a couple of topics. The first thing I want to talk about, we talk about belief on every call, and then we talk about a skill. The belief topic this week comes from chapter 6 of my book, which is called Key Number 3, Timing, When to Join a Company. And there's a quote in the beginning of the book. It's from Ecclesiastes 3:1. It says, "To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven." I'm sure you're all familiar with that. And in the beginning, it says, "It's clear that the old prophets of the Old Testament understood the power of proper timing, as did the Greeks. In ancient Greece, time was differentiated into two words, chronos and kairos. Chronos relates to the progression of time, like a timeline. Kairos relates to Kairos refers to the opportune moment or the correct time for something to happen. And so we're kind of talking about Kairos, the correct time for something to happen. So what we talk about in this section is just discovering the chronos in each MLM so that we can determine the proper Kairos and join the company at the right moment to get involved. Well, you guys have already joined the company, so you've already done this. So why am I teaching you about timing when you've already picked the company at the proper time? Well, I just want you to understand life cycles of a company. I want you to understand why it's so critical to be building your Yoli business right now, and why it's so critical to put on blinders to anything out there, any other opportunity, because all of these startups are absolutely dangerous and distracting, and they can pull away your new uncommitted members very quickly because of the startup lure. So I'd like to illustrate the power of startup by just talking about an experience I had. One of my first incentive trips that I earned in one of my previous companies as a distributor was a trip to Maui on Hawaii. It's one of the islands of Hawaii. And it was my first opportunity ever. I was in my probably late 20s, and there was these huge waves down at the beach. We'd been enjoying the surf all week, but when we went down to the beach to go jump in the water with our wakeboards, there was a sign on the beach that said, "Swim at your own risk, 5 to 8 foot swells." And I thought, 5 to 8 feet, that doesn't sound very big. Trust me, it was huge. 8 foot waves are crazy waves. And so there's very few people in there. There's just kind of the big guys that were in there getting beat up. And I thought, well, let's go do this. You know, we don't have any more days to waste. And so we went in there and we quickly learned the difference between catching the wave and not catching the wave. There was 3 different choices. One was missing the wave. That's when the wave came in and we were too late, and we just watched the wave basically roll down and take everybody else into the surf, and people riding the wave, having fun, hooping and hollering, and we missed it because we were late getting on top of the wave with our board. Then there was catching the wave, which was the perfect opportunity where you get right inside that curl and you're kind of on your knees on the board or on your chest on the board, and it just takes you right in. It's like a cascading waterfall. It goes whoosh, 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 and pushes you way up the beach, parks you at the top. You pick up your board, run back into the wave, and it was just beautiful. Then the third option was catching it too early. I don't know if anybody on this Marco or on this Zoom call has ever caught the wave on a big wave too early and lived to tell about it. But let me tell you, it's not a joyride. The wave picks you up in its massive, strong pull, and all I remember seeing is I see sunlight, dark, sunlight, dark, sunlight, dark, sunlight, dark, because the wave's got you and you're rolling in the wave. And then just when you think you're kind of floating weightless like you're in space, it smashes you against the sand. You know, I was like pinned, my face, you know, sand's going in every orifice, you know, my eyes, my ears, my nose, my mouth is just shoving into those holes. And I think I actually was digging sand out of my ear for about a week after that. But it just pounds you and then just rolls you up on the beach. It was like, I felt like I needed to go to the chiropractor. I felt like my neck had been so jarred that I really felt like it had been dangerous, like I could have broke something. And so I'm laying there trying to recover on the beach, just like semi-conscious. And then the wave comes in. I didn't get far enough up the beach. A wave came in, grabbed me in its undertow and pulled me back down the beach, flip-flopping, you know, rolling me down the beach. Then another wave comes, hits, rolls me up, rolls me down. It was like a surf yo-yo. It was unbelievable. And when I tell this story to Kinahu, he can't stop laughing because he basically has experienced this pretty much every year of his life. You never learn when you live in Hawaii that those waves can be so brutal. And so I finally got the presence of mind to crawl up the beach and rest at the top, get my bearings. And, you know, I just basically thanked for my life. But call me crazy, call me a little stupid or insane, but you know, I rested there for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then I went and got back in the surf again because it's just too much fun. So anyway, that's kind of the scenario here, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to share this with you. It's kind of like picking a company. You can pick a company too late and miss the party, you know, like a lot of people do. They just, you know, the company's 40 years old. There's companies out there like Herbalife. There's companies like Shackley. They're still around. There's companies like New Skin, USANA. These are companies that started in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. They're just really old, tried and true companies. And you can still have an opportunity there, but you kind of miss that big, huge initial wave. And so you're kind of missing that momentum that could help you build your business. But the scenario that you want to avoid at all costs is picking a startup company, because most startup companies will leave you smashed and broken on the beach, wondering, you know, who you are and hoping that there's a doctor in the house. It's absolutely true. And I will prove it to you. There are people in Yoli that have been lured away to startup companies just recently. I promise you, I'll bet you $1,000 each that those companies will be out of business within the next 24 months. Within 24 months, they'll be gone and they'll be left stranded without credibility, without any prospects, because they chose wrong. And when we started Yoli, a lot of people would come up to me and they say, "Hey, Daren, I heard that you have a book on the market about network marketing." And I did. It's called How to Select a Network Marketing Company. It's about 300 pages long. And, but I said, no, it's out of print right now because I didn't want them to read it. And there's one reason I didn't want them to read it. It's because of chapter 6, the one we're talking about right now, timing, when to join a company. Essentially, I'll sum it up for you. When selecting a network marketing company as an independent distributor, never, ever, 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 ever join a startup company. And there's tons. I won't go through all the documentation in here, all the reasons, but it will leave you broken on the beach. It'll leave you smashed, penniless, frustrated, friendless. Don't do it. Don't do it, because it will absolutely kill your credibility. And the reason I tell you this and the reason I speak with so much conviction is because I've done it. I've done it a few times. And I'm telling you, it's not a, like I said, it's not a joyride. So when do you want to join? You know, everybody talks about, I'm going to share my screen for a minute so we can kind of look at a few diagrams. See how I do this here. Share. Boom. Go here. Okay, so let's just look at this real quick. Here's a diagram of kind of the startup process. This is what happens with startup companies. They're up and down and up and down and up and down first 2 or 3 years. Ask Brian McCoy. You want to get a testimony of what I'm talking about. Brian McCoy was one of our founding distributors, one of our first people in the business. He was there from the beginning. I really appreciate he and Sarah sticking it out with us, because plenty of people quit the business right around the time that he joined. Plenty of people joined the business and then quit because it was just too hard, and it was because of the ups and downs, shipping challenges, you know, boxing challenges, packaging challenges, no marketing materials, no videos, no promotional materials. Everything's just in chaos because you're in a startup and you're just trying to figure things out. That's how it is with startup companies. So it's up and down. And usually what happens, you know, you see this, this chart here, usually that last up goes down and then it stays down. Most companies never recover, okay? So then we have what's called the momentum phase. Now this is documented. The very first thing that I read about the momentum phase was actually in an article that appeared in, gosh, I can't remember, I think it was let's see what, I've got it in my book here. Okay, it appeared in Success Magazine, I believe it was 1994, and it was Dr. Charles King, 1993 issue of Success Magazine. It was called, Richard Poe wrote this article, and he interviewed Charles King, who's a Harvard Business School PhD. He wrote, Richard Poe's, by the way, he's the author of Wave 3, The New Era in Network Marketing. So this article was called The Curve of Prosperity, and it looked kind of like this. It was this little chart, little diagram, where it showed, you know, a company comes out and it shows, usually it goes like this, but it was a straight line, and then all of a sudden it hits this window, this critical mass. We see that, we call that the hockey stick, but we hit the critical mass, and all of a sudden a company launches into a momentum phase that could last many years. But that's where like 70% of the company's all-time permanent sales force will come aboard, 70%. And that's where all the leaders and the people who make all the money in the business will come aboard during the momentum phase. And then eventually a company goes into what is called a stability phase, which looks kind of like that, where it'll continue to grow and build and progress, but not as quickly. And it's so much easier to build. Sometimes people say that you can develop your business 3 times faster during the momentum phase than you can during the stability phase. Now, there's a caveat with that. We are going into international markets. Once you establish yourself well in the United States with a large organization, you go diamond, you keep pushing on to double diamond, triple diamond, you get a big enough organization, and what happens is in those international countries, people start springing forth and building a new momentum cycle. And so we go back to this launch, this hockey stick in each of those countries. So you're having a new momentum push and rush in the country within a stable organization, a stable company, because we have stability in other countries. So you create that tremendous stability with multiple countries doing well and having momentum, but you don't have the risk of failure because of lack of funds, lack of resources, lack of leadership. So what I want to impress upon you today is how critical it is to be building right now during the momentum phase. This is the momentum phase. And I actually have put into my book, if you read my book, it says Major League Company Cycle. I'm going to just show you this picture here. Let me take it off screen share so I can show you this a little bit better. Okay, so this picture, this diagram here goes into the numbers that you're looking for to hit this advanced momentum. We're in it right now. We're in actually pre-momentum moving into momentum cycle. This is the best time to build and to join the business. We also have an advanced momentum cycle that we haven't even hit yet. There will be a great time for most people to come on, but once you get into the stability phase, you should be diamond or beyond, maybe even double or triple diamond by then, so that you can take advantage of a growth pattern that will last for the rest of your career. If you keep pushing, you keep building, you keep growing, you keep adding people, you will have momentum in your business. You should have momentum for the rest of your career based upon building now. So building that foundation. That's why it's so exciting. So I would impress upon you the incredible importance to act, to make hay while the sun shines, they say, and build right now while you're in the momentum phase, so that you can take advantage of not just the growth in the U.S. We still consider many of the states of the United States not launched. I feel like at least a third of the states in the United States don't have any leadership in them at all. You could own those states. You could go blue diamond in just one of those states, one of those 20 some odd states that are still available for massive growth potential. And the states that we are launched in now could also support many other blue diamonds because of the numbers. We look at these international countries, and what you have to realize is almost every state in the United States is equal to the amount of volume you can produce in every country that we go into. So don't put too much emphasis on international until you fully take advantage of your local community. So with that said, what I'd like to talk about tonight is I want to talk about inviting. And I wanted to talk to you about the courage to open your mouth and what it means to make that happen. I always go back to the story of being in Des Moines, sitting in the back of the room and watching this woman get up on stage, and she talks about how she's lost 80 pounds and how she invited 20 to 30 people to the event who were sitting up front supporting her and cheering for her. And they were all losing weight, and everybody was having better energy and better sleep. And she went on a laundry list of the health benefits she had. She had so many health concerns. I was almost concerned that it was too much, like she was sharing too much, and the compliance, corporate compliance was going to come down on her because she was maybe saying a little too much up on stage. But it was just beautiful, and so many people were teary-eyed over this testimonial. And while I was sitting there in the back, I was sitting next to Kinao, and this woman in the back said, "That's my girl." And she was cheering for her extra loud, and I thought, well, what's this all about? So I scooted over next to her, and I said, "Hey, what do you mean by that?" And she says, "Oh, I sponsored her. I invited her into Yoli." And I thought about that, and I looked at her, and I looked at the gal on stage and all the lives she had transformed already just by her example. And I said to this woman, what if you hadn't? What if you hadn't opened your mouth? I want each and every one of you to think about, what if the person who invited you into Yoli hadn't opened their mouth? This is a pay it forward program. And if you remember the movie Pay It Forward, you remember the whole concept of the movie was each person was to pay it forward to 3 new people. Not just 1, not 2, but 3 people. You have to take the beautiful gift that has been given you and now go pay it forward to the next person. Help somebody out in their life. Do something significant to make a difference, to transform a life for 3 different lives. And it was just a beautiful concept, beautiful movie, beautiful idea. And that kind of echoed greatly in my business when I first joined network marketing and got into my first successful company. Fear nearly kept me from approaching a contact in the mid-90s. His name was Rod, and I knew he was an author of a book. He'd written a book on marketing. And what chance did I have in my mid to late 20s of sponsoring a guy who was 10 years older than me, who was making a lot more money, who was very successful, had written a book? What chance did I have of ever bringing him into the business? And so I almost didn't approach him. But with some encouragement, with some inspiration, with my daily motivational audio tapes I listened to and my books that I read and seminars I went to, I finally summoned up the courage to approach him. And he said yes. And we became business partners, and we built a huge organization together. This is an organization that supported my family for many years. As a matter of fact, I stopped building that business in 1998. I built it from 94 to 98. And to this day, I still get a weekly check from that business. And I have to do, it's crazy because my auto ship is all nutritional supplements and personal care products. And so when Yoli came out and started coming out with all the different products to replace those products, I kept limiting my auto ship down. And finally now I order $200 a month of shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and organic toothpaste. When we have all those products, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm hoping they come out with something really crazy that I like, because I'll does anybody need any shampoo, by the way? It's really good. You're gonna love it. You're gonna get a Christmas gift this year. A little bow on it.
Brian. Yeah, Brian needs a lot more.
I send it in these, like we do, overseas relief baskets for people who are going through, tsunamis and crises, hurricanes. And so we sometimes will send them in those kits because we got so much of it. So anyway, so that almost didn't happen because of my fear. Fear almost kept me from approaching another gentleman. I was 35 years old. He was probably 55 at the time. A very successful dentist, really successful practice. He had multiple junior associates. He lived in a beautiful house over a lake. He had so much going for him that I didn't. And so I almost said no. I almost didn't approach him, but I decided, you know what? It worked before. I've had many no's, many rejections, but maybe it'll work again. I approached him, and he said yes. And he became a diamond distributor almost immediately, went double diamond eventually. He was a huge portion of my organization, and he even was a little bit difficult to get along with. I mean, we didn't match up with personalities, but we worked together. We built a huge organization together, and it was very financially beneficial for me to have in my organization. I almost didn't approach him. Now, here's the last one. I almost did not approach a gentleman about my business because I was intimidated by him, and not having opened my mouth would have resulted in altering my destiny. I wouldn't be here talking to you if I hadn't approached this gentleman. I wouldn't have had many of the experiences I had in life. I wouldn't have near the success that I have, because his name is Robbie Fender. And, I approached him in about 2003 over another opportunity. We'd met through a previous company. He called to ask me a question about internet marketing. He knew I did a lot of internet marketing. And the conversation came around to, what are you doing, Daren? Well, I just picked another company. I'm building it right now during the momentum phase that I always build in. I waited until it was going through its momentum phase, building, very successful with it. I'd love to send you some information. And so I sent him information. I sent him some product. Timing was right for him in his life. I can't say that I was very convincing. I just think timing was excellent for him. He joined me as a business partner. We built a huge organization. Our organization was 3 times bigger in half the time that it took us in our previous venture, because of the momentum and the synergy we shared and the knowledge we had about building and the contacts we had. And so we built a huge organization that was so large, we were actually a top 20 distributorship within a $1 million distributor organization. And we did very well. And Corey Citron was also a gentleman that we worked with in that company, Cross Line. And I almost missed out on the greatest friendship, the greatest opportunity, the greatest financial opportunity, emotional transformation. I almost missed out on that because I almost said or did not approach him because I was intimidated by his success. He was very successful in real estate and actually in network marketing previously. And so I almost doubted myself enough to say, oh, I'll talk to him on another time. What would that have cost me? 15 years of partnership. It would have cost me Yoli. There's no way that we would have put together Yoli without our synergy. So I really feel like the key to this business, we've had 3 different speakers come and talk about this topic. The idea of stepping out of your comfort zone and having the courage to open your mouth. We had Mel Robbins come and talk about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, speak. Do it. Just do it. Just take the 5 seconds. We've had Darren Hardy talk about this topic, in the airplane. He's about to jump out to do a skydiving and his body won't let him. His body's freezing up and saying, I'm not going to go out the door. And the instructor saying, oh, yes, you are. He says, sometimes you have to just turn your brain off and jump and see what happens. There's a movie called We Bought a Zoo, Matt Damon. And he's talking to his young son. His young son is trying to court this young girl. He's really attracted to this young lady, and he wants to talk to her and just kind of have a relationship with her. But he's too scared to say anything. And so his dad sits him down and says, son, sometimes you have to just have 20 seconds of courage. 20 seconds of insane courage, and something good will happen. That's what we need. In our inviting process, we need to have 20 seconds of courage. So what do we do? How do we approach these people? Well, the thing you got to understand, remember last week we talked about a little bit, or some of these trainings, we talked a little bit about the process of inviting. And I used to tell people all the time that I hated training people because I felt like I was taking time out of my life and my business to talk instead of do. And so what I like to do every day, instead of training people on how to do it, I just did it and have them watch me. So what I would do is every day at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, I would get on the phone with about 15 to 20 new recruits, new people, and they would join me on a party line. And I would mute the party line, and then I would do my call to the prospect. And then I'd click them on muted. So they were listening in, but they're muted on the other line, and they got to hear my invites and hear my calls. And all I would do, and I'm going to share my screen again so I can show you this. All I would do, actually, let me get rid of my previous presentation here. All I would do is I'd just do my normal call, my normal presentation, and I would have them listen in. And then we would, after we did the presentation, we would essentially kind of break it down and decide what, how we did it, how it worked. Okay, let me get in here. I'm going to share this one now. Scripts page. Okay. Everybody see this page? I'm just going to expand it a little bit here. Okay, so this is my script book. And I have, Matt, did you get this script book? Did it ever come through, or is it just getting hung up in text?
We did get it. It had an expiration date on it, but we put it up so it's on our resource page, Mind Your Business.
Perfect.
Caitlin, that's correct. Caitlin, you got that up on the Mind Your Business.
If anybody doesn't have this script book, you need to have it. It's really critical that you have scripts. And all I did when I did these prospecting calls is I just read my scripts. I wanted to keep it duplicable and easy and simple and straightforward for the new people. And so I just read my scripts. And as I mentioned here, I've been interviewing members who are doing invite activities like the Business Building Blitz and all the things that we talk about. And often the new members are hesitant to pick up the phone for a phone call or send a text because they are very unsure of themselves. They don't know what to say. However, the moment a script is put in front of somebody's face, they turn into a machine, okay? So that's just coming right off the script book. So this talks about contacting principals, when to make the call, but it just goes right into the basics. And for those of you who are brand new, I just want to go through the basic invite process. This is something we came up with very early on. And I'm going to tell you this right now. This is a script book. This is Uncle D's script book. I'm going to give it to you, but you can't use it. Okay? And the reason you can't use it is because it's mine. And in order to make it yours, you have to write it in your language because you don't want to be sounding like Uncle D. I could have somebody, get on the phone with you and say, you know what, Rhonda, you're really talking weird today because you sound like Uncle D. Why are you talking like Uncle D? Why don't you talk like Rhonda? And so you need to take my scripts and rewrite them so you don't sound like Rhonda or Don or Matt or Miranda or any of these people. You've got to say it in your language, the way you say it. So here's an example of something I might say. Say, hey, Mom, you mentioned your blood pressure had been high. I'm calling up my mom on the phone. You know how you mentioned you had high blood pressure, and she did. You know how you said you get a little tired in the afternoons, which she did. You know how you said you need to lose about 20 pounds, which she needed to do. All her words. I think I found a solution for you. What is it? It's called Yoli, the Better Body Company. Is there a website? You need to see it the way it was presented to me, Mom. What does your schedule look like? I could drop by Tuesday night or Saturday morning. What's best? Can you tell me more about it? Mom, I know this is going to help you. Trust me. I have to. You need to try the samples, and I'll show you some videos, and then you can decide if you want to try it. So just stay persistent with her to get the appointment. It's your mom. What's she going to say? You just stay after her. You're going to get your mom. You're going to get your dad. You're going to get your aunt. People that are comfortable with you. You can be bold with them because they're your parents, okay? So here's another one, the casual weight loss focused BBP invite. Hey, Susan, how's your Christmas? Or how was your summer? Just use whatever appropriate time frame. How was Halloween? It's coming up. Hey, that thing I'm doing with Yoli, the Better Body System? Because trust me, people, they've all seen your Facebook. They know you're doing Yoli. If they know you, they know you're doing Yoli. So this is a casual friend. I'm starting it again this week. I'm already down 3 pounds for the new year. My goal is to lose another 7 pounds by the end of by Christmas. I have a couple of friends coming over on Wednesday night to try some samples. Do you want to do this with us? Everybody, the reason they don't start programs like the Better Body System is because they don't have anybody to do it with them. It's a group invite. Hey, I'm starting this again on Monday. You want to do it? Oh, well, I'm going to be out of town for the next 2 weeks. Did I say this Monday? I meant 3 weeks from Monday. That's when we're starting this. You're always starting over, people. You're always starting this thing. Every Monday, you can be starting the Better Body System over again. It's a new commitment. It's kind of like, how many of you go to church on Sunday? How many people go to church? Just raise your hands, okay? Most of us go to church. Do you have any kind of like a communion or a sacrament or anything like that? Any kind of ritual? Okay, everybody's shaking their head. You know what that is? That's a renewal. That's a process of recommitting to your baptism, recommitting to the commitments you made when you joined the church, recommitting to the principles that that are true. And the reason we need to recommit is because we kind of fall off the wagon sometimes, or we just need to repent. We need to recommit to the Lord, recommit to our own personal principles we know are true. So that's what we do every week. It's a recommitment. It's a new promise to the Lord that we're going to do better. And we have to do the same thing every week with the Better Body System because we fall off the wagon and we cheat and we do a lot of things that we shouldn't do. And so it's a new committal every Monday. So you could be starting the Better Body System over again every single Monday. And when you do, you should be asking someone new every Monday to start with you. Oh, we're starting again on Monday. We're starting again on Monday. Get used to saying that. We're starting again on Monday. Okay, here's another one. What are you going to do? Okay, have I told you about Yoli? My friend from work introduced me. She lost 20 pounds. Here, I texted her. Here, I just texted her before the before and after picture. Here's the, so you always have your before and after pictures to show. Did you get it? Isn't that crazy? Isn't this crazy, this before and after picture? Look at this. This is the before shot. This is the after shot. We're both starting again on Monday. She's committed to losing another 15 pounds. I've already lost 3 since the first of the month, but I want to lose 7 more by the end of the month. It's super easy to follow. The shakes taste awesome. I have some samples. Do you want me to come over Wednesday night and we can try the samples and we can watch the video? Okay. I'm tied up Wednesday, but you can come over Thursday. Great. Thursday works. I have a friend who might join us. There's a video we can watch and I'll bring some samples. That's a party. It can be so casual. You just, hey, I'm bringing samples. We're going to watch a video. You don't have to say, hey, we're having a Better Body party scheduled at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. We're inviting 7 guests. If you'd like to attend, here's a little invitation card that's going out in the mail with a little, pasted to a doily with little tassels hanging off it. You don't need to make it so formal. It can be so casual. You can just have the stuff in your trunk and show up. Okay, that's a party. Just make it all about, we're starting again Monday. I want to lose 3 pounds, or I've lost 3 pounds already. I'm going to lose 7 by the end of the month. How many do you want to lose? How much do you want to lose? Here's what I want to do. Here's what Susan just lost 17 pounds. Look at these before and after pictures. Can you believe that? How many do you want to lose? Just get them thinking in terms of what they're going to do. They don't care what you did. They want to know what can happen for them. That's the only reason for the before and after pictures when you're doing an invite, is to get them thinking about what's possible for them, not for you. Okay? So, there's so many different invite ideas in this script book. There's some follow-up ideas. Okay, I want to share with you bringing the BLP. In the process of invite, it would be so easy to invite people into the company if they were committed to come to a Transform You, a conference, an incentive trip, or a major event. But they're generally not willing to come to that as a first option. Usually that's a second or third follow-up that they'll come to after they've been impressed with something, they've had a transformation, or they've had a really good party, or they've been impressed in some other way. It's easy to recruit people when they're feeling the BLP, when they're feeling a sense of belonging, when they're feeling the love, when they're feeling a sense of purpose, they will come into the business. But sometimes, in order to get them to Transform You, or get them to a Yoli event, we have to bring the BLP to them first. We have to bring it to them first. So how do we bring the BLP to people? It's all done through stories. Your story and the story of others, but we need to tell our story in a way that is saturated with BLP, okay? You can always improve your story. Your story is the most important key to bringing on new customers and members. And next week, we're going to talk about the party. It's also the most important part of the party. If you tell a really good story right in the middle of the party, they're all in. They're all customers. They're all going to do it because of that story. Here are some examples of some stories you can share at your BBP that connect people, okay? So here's a personal story. I joined Yoli because I needed to lose weight. I lost 20 pounds in the first 60 days, which blew me away. But what I didn't realize is that Yoli is so much more than weight loss. I have so much more energy now. I'm sleeping better. My immune system's stronger. I just so much more clear-headed. I was blown away with what happened with my own health that I started sharing it with a few other people. My friend Susan lost 30 pounds this year. Her husband lost 25. Do you know Amy from church? She just started a few weeks ago. She's already lost 14 pounds. But it's the other health benefits that everyone has experienced that really impressed me. I can't wait for you to try Yoli. I want to see what it does for you. Okay? That's an invite. That's not just a story. That's an invite. That's an invite. That's the most powerful invite you can give. Here's another one. I joined Yoli because I needed to lose weight. I lost 18 pounds in the first 3 months. It blew me away. I shared it with several friends and they all lost weight. But I was able to spend more time with the company. I realized that Yoli is so much more than weight loss. I really connect with the vision of the founders. I connect with my local leaders. Ladies I've known for a few months feel like lifelong friends. People I can totally confide in. People I can trust who lift me up every day. I've never felt so much positive energy in my life. I feel like I have a whole team of people behind me, supporting me, motivating me, and pushing me towards greatness. I feel like this is where I belong. I honestly believe now that I'm going to be full-time in this business, driving a free luxury car paid for by Yoli, earning free incentive trips to exotic places, paying off my debt, and most importantly, making a difference. There's a tremendous amount of love in this company. I never experienced anything like it. It's really given me my life more purpose. I feel like God has a mission for me, and this is it. When I think of what I'm doing with Yoli, I think of you. This company fits you so perfectly. I'd love for you to come and check it out. Okay, does that not fit pretty much everybody on the call? I mean, it really does fit everybody as far as, matching up with not just the physical transformation, but the emotional. Everybody needs to put a little bit of the emotional transformation into your script so that you can attract them with the BLP. Bring the BLP to them. Okay, now here it's getting really, really crazy with the vulnerability scripts. These things can really touch people in a way that would not be touched otherwise. You have to get a little bit vulnerable with people these days. Here's one of them. I know this is going to sound a little personal, but we have not been doing good financially. Tom lost his job last year. He was way underemployed to begin with. I had to quit my job to take care of my mom. This is a woman speaking. He was way underemployed to take care of my mom, and we were really struggling. We thought we might have to declare bankruptcy, but now that we started Yoli, I already achieved a level it's called 3-star silver. It's just the beginning, but I'm moving up every month. My sponsor's already a ruby, which means she's qualified to drive a free luxury car paid for by Yoli. Here's a picture of her car. Here's a sponsor leader who's a diamond. She has a Yoli Mercedes, and she gets to go on 2 vacations with the company every year. Here's the last one she went on. Look at this picture. I know, right? She says it's totally on track to duplicate. I'm totally on track to duplicate her results in my growth, based on my growth. And the thing that blows me away is I love what I'm doing. There are some pieces that push me out of my comfort zone, which I think is a good thing. I'm feeling a lot of growth and personal development, but at the end of the day, I feel so fulfilled. I feel like I'm really helping people. I totally didn't feel that way when I was working my job. And the entire business is a tax write-off, which means I get to keep more of the income from Tom's new job as well. It's like a double raise, okay? Can you see how you can take these ideas and incorporate it into your story? What's your story? How is it different? How can you create a story that reflects this vulnerability? I have to level with you. I wasn't doing great financially. And do you see how you can do a financial testimony without doing one? Like you're just a 2-star bronze, but you can say that. You can say that you're 2-star bronze. I'm just a 2-star bronze, which is a level in the company recognition level I just achieved. It's just the beginning, but here's my sponsor. She's a ruby, and she drives a luxury car. And here's her sponsor. Here's the person upline from her, and she's got a Mercedes, and she goes on 2 trips a year. See, you're sharing someone else's financial story until you have your own. But you can share your own and then just share your sponsor's ideas, and it brings you right along. Okay, here's another one. Really vulnerable. Okay, you got to be willing to do this. I know this is going to sound a little personal, but I honestly feel that Yoli has helped with my marriage. Before Yoli, we seemed to be living separate lives. We were so busy doing our own thing, working different hours and arguing about money, we started growing apart. Yoli brought us back in alignment with each other. We were working together to improve our finances, planning trips together, spending time with other like-minded families who share our values. Add your own personal details. Okay, that's a really good one. People don't want to hear how well you're doing. They don't want to hear all the magic and the hype. They don't want to hear that. That's 1980s approach, 1990s approach. This is the year 2018, going into 2019. They want to hear the real story. They want to hear the vulnerability. They want to hear how bad it was, how bad it is. They want to relate. They want to feel the pain with you, okay? Commiserate. That's how this works. Okay, here's another invite. I know this is going to sound a little personal. I don't know if you knew this. or not, but I've been struggling with some depression. Since I've been involved with this company, especially the people I'm working with, it feels like a fog has lifted. I'm so much happier. And you can expand on that all you want, but isn't that the case with many people we know? It could be ourselves. It could be many people in our organization we knew, but so many people have mentioned that to me, that they've had an emotional transformation through this company because of the positive associations they're having with people, because they're getting out and doing something that they're getting recognized for and they're proud of, instead of doing the things that weren't leading to that sense of fulfillment. It's so easy to get vulnerable with people and connect. People want to connect with you on the level that they're struggling with. If you know somebody who's depressed and you've experienced that before, connect with them. If you know somebody who's struggling financially or struggling with their marriage and you've struggled in those areas, or you know somebody who has, connect with them. Get them to connect and you'll bring them in. Okay. There's other scripts that we could go through. Here's another script that I use a lot for inviting that I think is just absolutely brilliant. It works really well. How are we doing on our time here? Let me just take a quick. Okay, we're going to wrap up with this one. One of the best ways to truly connect with somebody on an emotional level, and by the way, these scripts are available, so you don't have to just memorize what I'm saying. This is something you can have right after this presentation. You can get it from Matt. Best ways to connect with people is on an emotional level is to ask the big questions. Try to get past the small talk as quick as possible. Mind you, small talk is important to establish trust. However, you can't really get to your why or establish their why when you're focused on small talk. So try asking a big question to move into the conversation that will mean something to both of you. For example, you're having Starbucks with a friend. You can say, hey, a friend of mine was talking to me about this article he read. I'm the friend. I was reading the article, so you can refer to Uncle D if you don't have anybody else to refer to. So Uncle D was reading this article about asking big questions. It was kind of fun to answer these questions. I'm curious how you would respond to this. The first one is, what is your number one bucket list item? Or in other words, what is one of the most important things you want to do before you die? Okay, you're sitting at Starbucks as a brand new person. Instead of doing a mini BBP, springing it on them, get to the heart of the matter. Try to find out their why first, because you want to customize the Yoli presentation to them based upon their wants and their needs and their desires. So ask them the big questions. What's your number one bucket list item? What do you want to do before you die? Wait for the answer. And then ask the follow-up. Tell me more about that. Tell me more. Dig into it. Dig into that idea. Really engage with them. Let them talk. And then when you've got enough information gathered, you say, what is preventing you from doing that right now? Get them talking, get them thinking, get them dreaming. They can start creating their why before they've even joined Yoli. You need to know their why before you even go into an invite. Know their why. You got to know their why, because that means you care enough to ask. Here's some other big questions. This comes up at the first of the year. Or you could say, what are your number one goals? What are you working on in your life? What are you trying to accomplish by the end of the year? What are you going to do in the new year? What's your New Year's resolution? If they don't have any, feel free to dig into that a little bit. Everyone should have some goals. Find out why they haven't set goals, or try to find some pain that you can explore. If they do, have New Year's resolutions, find out. So, what daily, weekly, monthly goals have they set for themselves? Here's a really powerful one. Are you going through any personal struggles right now? And again, set this up. If you just come out of the blue and say this, it's a little bit too personal, okay? A little bit too personal. So here's how you set it up. You say, hey, again, a friend of mine was reading this article about asking the big questions. Here's one of the big questions. I was curious about how you'd answer this. Are you going through any personal struggles right now? And if you do you feel like do you feel like you have someone you can share those struggles with? Okay, that's the follow-up. Are you going through any personal struggles right now? And if you are, do you have somebody you can share those struggles with? Don't be surprised if you spring that on somebody over coffee and they start bawling. It has happened. And that's when you're connecting with people, because so many people don't have anyone to talk to about these things. They just don't care. You know, their spouses don't care. Their children don't care. Their parents don't care. Their friends don't care, or at least they perceive that they don't. It's usually a perception. But obviously they're not connecting enough to get to the heart of the matter. And you are. You might even be kind of a stranger to them. You might be on a plane sitting next to me and somebody said, hey, you have a little small talk. You say, hey, a friend of mine was reading this article on big questions. And they said, it's really fun to ask these big questions to people, even total strangers, like on a plane, like we are now, and see how they answer them. Here's one that's a really good one. If you knew you were going to die in the next 24 hours, what would you do? Bam. Okay, that's going to open up a can of worms. And that's what you want. You want to open up a can of worms with people and just deal with it, you know? Be vulnerable with them. How do you get to the heart of the matter immediately with somebody? Get past the weather. Get past the, you know, where are you from? Get past the small talk and get into the big questions. If you had 24 hours to live, what would you do? I've seen people break down and cry. I've seen people get up and leave and go call somebody they haven't talked to in 20 years and resolve it because they're worried about death. They're worried about their mortality. What keeps you up at night? There's a good one. What keeps you up at night? 15 years after your death, after you die, what will people say about you? All big questions, okay? So think about it. Incorporate these in. These, you don't have to memorize these because I've got these on my Uncle D's script book. Again, I want you to take this script book and I want you to read it all a couple of times, and then I want you to rewrite it for your own language, how you would say it, not how I would say it. Don't be Uncle D, be yourself, okay? Be yourself. Okay, so there's all sorts of different ideas on here. We're gonna go back to the script book with some of our later trainings, but that's enough for tonight. I appreciate everybody joining me. I just wanna say this. When I started this business, I was horrible at it. I was a young whippersnapper. I was in my early 20s. I had no clue what I was doing. I was ignorance on fire. I was excited, but I was introverted. I looked like I was 12 because I had this boyish face. I had to wear ties. I always had to wear a tie or a suit coat because when I came back as a missionary when I was 21 from Japan. I looked like I had a tapeworm. I'm super skinny, very young looking, and I always had to wear suits so that people even gave me any kind of credibility because I looked so young. I had 2 kids and I looked like I was 15 when I had 2 kids. So it was so hard. On the phone, I got pretty good at being on the phone, but when I showed up to someone's house, they're looking around like, where's your dad? You know, why did he send you over here? I don't see your dad. And so finally, you know, I established myself over time. It took me a while to do that, but I was like Emerson, you know, I just had to push through it. But I got from bad to better. I got a little bit better, and I got a little bit better, and I got better. And pretty soon I was kind of good at doing this business. I was kind of good. And then I was really good. And the thing is, then I got great. I'm not here to, you know, boast or brag, but I think I got pretty great at the business because I started having great results. And then I got phenomenal at the business, and my confidence just grew. And I realized, you know what? Nothing is keeping me from becoming the best of the best in this business. I can just keep growing and building and progressing because there's no ceiling on this. You're not in a job that's going to limit you out or max you out on your salary. I remember working for the state government when I first got married. And people were always looking at their job specs, and they said, I max out at this salary level, and I can't go anywhere without getting a new job and moving on to another position. This is my maximum. I can't get a raise at that point. I just go downhill because of inflation. We don't have that in Yoli. If you want to double your efforts, double your volume, you double your income. You want to 10 times it. You want to add a 0 every year. You want to go from $100 to $1,000 to $10,000 to $100,000. You can add a 0 in this business if you get the formula for growth and leadership and progression and momentum. you can do that. And we see people doing that all the time. You want to go from $100 to $1,000 to $10,000, you can do that. You can do it. We can show you how to do that, but it's a commitment. It's a commitment, and it's a decision. It's just deciding that you can. And I know each and every one of you on here, because you showed up tonight, you can do it. You can do anything you want. You just have to believe that you can. So thank you for joining us. Sorry it took you so long tonight, but it's my birthday and I get to do whatever I want on my birthday. And I've got the microphone. Like a wedding singer.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Daren.
Thank you so much, everybody. It's such an honor and privilege to be here with each and every one of you. I love you. Have a wonderful night. Thank you, Matt, for setting us up. We'll see you next week at the same bat channel, same bat time. It'd be even better
Happy birthday.
if you can believe that.
Channel.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Hello.
Bye.
Good night. Talk to you soon.
Night, everyone.